There was a reunion show.
That's right.
Tell me, I mean, we are a bit over time, but tell me briefly how it came together, how you felt about that show, and, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, this me and Greg goes back to '99, and a really good friend of mine, Greg Taylor, played guitar in grade, like was one of my best friends, and he left because his, you know, he had some personal issues, and he asked me to come in and play with him. So I had done all this touring, basically all the major grade touring was myself and you know, Matt, who's also in Lions, and you know, a lot of stuff happened during those eras, and more than stories, and you know, we could fill up this entire recorder just with personalities and attitudes and where we were at. So there was a big blow up with all parties in grade, and I say grade to 7 members, and it was the original 5 plus me and Charles Menez, who were kind of in the same. We were in the band as long as the other guys were in the band, just at different eras, right? So it was almost like a 7-person. So there was a lot of bad blood there, and you know, after the years, you know, you run into people and you kind of bury some hatchets, and you kind of, you know, there's this level of kind of like, I'm moving on kind of thing. And so when the Great Reunion Tour came about, it was only going to make sense that it was going to be, you know, the original guys that were part of it. And you know, I was asked to do my portion of writing for the things, and I declined because you know, it wasn't right. That, you know, it's almost like me piggybacking onto something. So it was the 5 guys, and that could have done it, as original as it could get. And I was there, and Charles was there, and it ended up being an amazing kind of moment, because for once it was just kind of cool. You know, there was no ill will, no bad blood.
Well, I mean, I interviewed a Rise and Ruin here about 2 weeks ago, and they were at the show, and they said just how incredible it was.
Yeah, it was like a room of love.
I mean, they had, you know, it's okay. They had, you know, goosebumps in their arms from the show. I mean,
Totally.
yeah, they couldn't believe the.
It's a nice bike.
Yeah. Take it for a test drive.
Is that guy playing tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he is the first band.
Oh, yeah.
No, just to sum it up for you really quickly, without like dragging and pulling on it for too long, it was awesome.
Yeah, reunion shows can be pretty lame,
yeah.
And you know, you don't know what it's going to be like. But Opera House is a venue that holds about 1,000 or just over 1,000. It was packed.
Yeah.
It was packed, and kids were into it, and they did it. You know, they did it right, because there was no production, there was no lights, there was no nothing. They just played those records, and then, you know, Greg at the end was really cool. He was like, "We're not going to do any of this fake bullshit where we fake the last song and then go off and you cheer and bring us back on. Like, this is the last song for real. Yeah. This is the last song, and then we're done."
And I do give props to those guys, because anybody that's you know, in music, and you do sell out 1,000-seater, and merchandise sales are huge. You know, all of a sudden the tour comes back up.
Gears start turning.
Let's go to Montreal and do a show now, and you know, Ottawa. Okay, guys, 2 weeks in the States, and really, I give all those guys credits. It was kind of just, as soon as the show was over, I swear to God, you almost felt this cloud lift over the band, and literally everybody kind of went their separate ways. And there's still people that still haven't spoken to each other since that show that were part of it, that I know of. That you know, so it was almost like boom, clean break, see ya, gone, done. Everybody's kind of, you know, happy stuff. It was, you know, for us as for the Lions, it was a trying summer, because we were finishing the record up. And things were starting to kind of like, we were trying to put a lot of work into it, and then the Great thing came along, and those guys literally like did like the first 3 records in its entirety, plus like some of the head first stuff. So like they were rehearsing like twice a week. So our band was done at that point in time, and it was kind of
a full summer. So the full summer of '06.
It was 06.
06, like for 4 months.
We were just like, nobody even talked to each other, because they were kind of doing their thing. So for us, it kind of threw us back a bit, a step back. But you know, it was cool that it didn't go further than it did. You know, I think it very easily could have. You know, so many bands get trapped in that. They do that one hometown reunion show, and everybody's there. And you know what? Their family's there. People maybe that wouldn't normally go show up, and the place is packed, and there's good vibes all around. You kind of like, let's do this. And I know that they were offered to go out with a certain band for a few weeks in the States, and declined.
Really?
Yeah, they said it was over.
I mean, Silverstein only exists because of Grade.
It was Silverstein.
Oh, is it?
Alexis on Fire. A lot of bands.
No, but
I had this conversation earlier today.
Yeah. It was,
If I were them, I'd be afraid if Grade opened for my
can I
band.
be completely, like, honest with you?
Totally.
It's one of those situations where when you're doing it, nobody gives a fuck. You know? Maybe it's like the dead rock star thing, you know? People only care when you die. And with Grade, we had a lot of success. And we toured a lot, and we were in Japan. We had these great times. But as it was happening, it didn't feel like it was anything like was really going on. I was still going home, like, you know, very broke. We were still like struggling to make ends meet. We had to be on the road for 8 months out of the year in order just to, like, you know, pay our rent and do all that. So it wasn't like this great, amazing thing that blew up. So when it came back, everybody's like, dude, like, you started all, like, Grade started all these bands. Like, you're the influence of all these bands that are huge now. Like, Alexis on Fire is, like, ridiculously huge. Like, to the point where it's unfathomable for Canada. You know, I happen to know, like, a couple guys personally, you know, that are in with the band, and then some of the numbers that were spouted out that they get for guarantees for these big festivals they do in Canada are, like, you've never, like, it is astronomical. I just can't believe it.
Well, from a hardcore level, like, I mean, like, we're coming from this into that. Just like,
but it's like, you know, but you always get cited as an influence when they're interviewing AP. Grade always comes up. Grade always comes up. But back in when we were going on, we didn't get the love from AP. We didn't get the love from Revolver. We didn't get the love from all these guys, magazines that these guys are citing us as influences on. They've surpassed Grade 50,000 times over. So it's not like one of those things where, you know, we are the kingpins and we had this family tree. You know, they may have had the influence, but man, eclipsed the band by.
But those bands all worship
good for them.
That's what I'm saying, and good for them. Like, there's no, like, for me it was just funny that everybody always, it's always that influential thing. And I still pick up AP every now and again and read an interview with, like, one of those guys, and they always, Grade is always mentioned in it, but it's kind of like, it's hard to put it back into that perspective that when Grade was going, we were struggling just as much as any other band. It wasn't like we created these bands, super groups, you know. We were just, like, kind of on a, you know.